All right, hello everyone, and thanks once again for joining in to our live Q&A session today. This is Chris, and I'll be your host. So we're just going to get started here in a couple minutes. We'll wait to see if any questions start trickling in. In the meantime, I'll go ahead and jump into a few topics that we can cover while we wait to see if we have any user submitted questions. So last week, one of the main topics that I covered was the difference between your blank product listings and your decorated product listings. Uh, Now, one of the frequent questions that we get is from users wanting to have a single listing page, let's say, the decorated products page, and have that list a combination of decorated items or items that can be either customized or personalized along with other items that are maybe sold as is. So the typical example might be a sport team shop where you might have some uniforms with the option to customize the jersey, maybe enter in the player name, and then along with those uniforms, you might also want to sell socks, and those socks are just sold as is. There's no option to personalize. Maybe you're also selling shoes or some of the sports gear. Um, right? So those items are not really going to go through the designer. There's no decoration going on them. But what our users want is the ability to list those items side by side on the same listing page. Um, and so I'm just going to walk through how you might achieve that. It is possible. It does take a bit of a workaround, but let's run through it. It's not too difficult. So let me just check what my current site setup is. So let me jump into websites. Let's take a look at my store here. Or actually, let's do this through one of the affiliate stores that I have set up as a sports shop. So let's take a look there. All right, so it looks like, yeah, I have this store set up to show my decorated items. So now let's imagine that, I want, along with all of these products here, to also list, some as-is products. The example that I might use is, I'll just pull up something from Google, and let's go ahead and use that. So let me just do a search here for some soccer shoes. Let's assume that we want to use this item here. I'm just going to save that image down to my desktop. All right, so the first thing that you'll need to do is go into your product section and create a blank item from that product or that image that you've sourced out. Maybe it's something that you have that the team provided you with. So in your product section, you're going to go to Add Product on the top right corner, and you'll choose Add Custom Product. All right, from there, we can go ahead and give this a name. We'll give it soccer shoes, and we'll leave the product code empty for now. For colors, we're just going to say it's a one color item. I don't offer it in any other variations. So we'll say save. All right, now it's going to prompt me to supply my product image. Again, I only offer this in one color variation. So um, we do have these different options that you can choose. In this case, I'm supplying my image, and I would recommend either option 2 or 3. 2 makes sense if you don't ever plan to add additional color options to the product. If you do ever plan to add additional color options, you would want to choose option 3. So even though right now I'm just using that blue shoe, let's say later on I might want to add a red. I'll want to choose option 3 now. That will give me that flexibility later on. So let's choose option 3. We'll hit next, and it's going to ask me to upload my image. I'll look in my desktop, I'll select that image and upload it. So there it is. There's the image that I just uploaded. I can go ahead and size it, place it where I want it. That looks fine. All right, and now I can go ahead and give it a name. So we'll say side view. Give that view a name. All right, so the key here for us to make this product available through our decorated products page on that affiliate store is going to be to assign a decoration location, a print location. Now that's a little bit counterintuitive to what you might think. You might think, well, this item is going to be sold as is. I don't want anyone decorating on it. Uh, and while that's correct, in order for the system to allow you to add that product through the decorated section, you'll have to kind of trick it into thinking that it can be decorated. Later on, we'll disable that option to customize the product, but for now, we'll need to add that in. So we'll choose Add Decoration Area, and it really doesn't matter which one you choose, since this is just essentially a placeholder. So I'll choose Mouse Mat. We'll choose that one. That's fine. It doesn't really, again, matter where you place it. You might make it really small. Just kind of put it somewhere in there. All right, and after that, you can go ahead and press OK. It's going to prompt me to select the color that I'm representing with this image. So let me just look through generic and see if there's a close one. So I think this one up here, baby blue, is kind of matching. All right, so I've got my product name. Last thing I might want to do is set my pricing. So for this item here, um, I'm planning to sell it for 65. So I'll enter in a price of 65 here. And now I don't want any decoration price associated with that, right? The decoration does not factor into this example. So what I'll do is I'll click into advanced decoration pricing. I'll choose edit price, and I'm going to override my vinyl heat press, which I'm using the transfer process for. I'm going to set that to 0. All right, so later on when I'm creating my decorated good, it's going to pull in that price of 0 and make sure that the price of that final item is just the 65 that I've entered here. All right, and depending on which process you're using, you could zero all these out if you wanted to. All right, for the ones where you're using a price table, you could also create a price table with all of the prices set to 0 and then select that from the drop down. All right, so it's up to you how you want to set that up. So let's go ahead and hit OK. So I've set my pricing. Let's check on sizing. So sizing does need to be adjusted. Let's say define my own sizes. I'll just remove all these. And for now, I'll just say I'm going to add one called one size, but if it was a real shoe, you would go in and add all of those different size options. So I'm going to add one called one size and remove that medium. All right, that looks good. And I think that should be it. The last thing I'll want to do is go into availability and make it so that this product is not in all of my stores, right? I just want it in that one affiliate store. So I'll say not in any store by default in the global section. And then down here at the bottom under the store rules, I'll hit add rule and I'll select my football booster and I'll say add selected stores, and it's going to go ahead and add that exclusion for me. So it's not in any store except football booster where it is allowed. All right, so let's save that product now. Oops, let's set it active first and then save it. All right, so that's almost done saving there. We'll hit continue here. That should bring us back to our products list. Let's just check to make sure that product doesn't have any errors. So let me go back to the end of my list. There's my product, soccer shoes. It's at $65. And yep, there's no errors on it. So we should be good to start using that. All right, so I'm going to jump back into my football booster store, into the decorated products section. All right, from here I'll choose create decorated products. All right, and there's the item that I just added. So we're seeing it listed in this section here because of the fact that it has a print location assigned to it. If it didn't have that print location, so if I just quickly show that screen again, open up soccer shoes, go into views and decoration areas. So let's say that was missing. Let me delete that. If it showed like this, where it says this virtual sample has no areas to decorate, this product would not be showing here. So the requirement is for that, for at least one view on the product to have one print location available. Once that requirement is met, it's going to start showing here. So I'll select that item, hit save and continue. Oops, let me try that again. Let's see, let me refresh here. Let's see, let me double check the item here. I have to resave the blank. Let me just make sure I haven't left out any details here. So price 65, minimum quantity fine, sizing is fine. Yeah, we should be good. Let's save that again. All right, so let's start back from decorated products. Let's refresh that page. We'll choose create decorative products. We'll choose that soccer shoe, hit save and continue. And it's not going to let us do that. All right, so let me see if it's an issue with just that product. All right, so I might have to downgrade my system here. I do run my system on our beta version, so let me just make a switch here. There may be a bug in that beta version. Give me a second here to make that change, and then we'll continue on with these steps. Hopefully that goes through. And while you guys are waiting for that system to be downgraded, if you guys have questions, feel free to type those into the chat. Again, I'll pick up those questions once I see any in the live chat. We'll switch off from the tips that I'm going over. We'll switch off to your guys' questions instead. All right, so that should now be downgraded back onto the live version. Let's double check to see if this is working now. Let me refresh my page here. I'm just gonna make sure it's not cached. All right, let's try that again. Save and continue. All right, there we go. So yeah, we must have a bug in that beta version. So here it is, the product that we've chosen. You'll notice we do see that print location very small there. So essentially at this step, which, on a decorated item, you would normally add in that graphic. We're just going to skip this step, right? So we're not going to add anything in. We're going to hit save and continue. We're going to leave that blank, and we can still provide our decorated product information like normal. So I could go in and say my decorated title is still soccer shoe. I could give it a description if I want. I can still set a category, just like the decorated items. This option down here is the one that you want to pay attention to. So customize, you want to set to do not allow users to customize, right? This item is being sold as is. You don't want the user to pull this item into the designer and then be able to add graphics into that small little print location. So don't allow users to customize is the selection that we need to make. And then we'll hit save and continue. All right, step 4 here is where you would normally, add multiple colors if you want, or select multiple products. In this case, it's just the one item that we're adding, so we'll hit save and continue. And that should be it for that item. It's going to kick us back out, generate that product, and kick us back out to our decorative products list. All right, so we're all done here. Let's hit continue. There's our item. It's showing the price of 65, so everything's looking good. Let's take a look at the side and see how that's showing now on our products page. So you can see here, side by side, I now have an item that can't be decorated. It's being sold as is. There's no graphic on it. It's literally just the picture of the shoe that I'm selling for that price. I can select a size. In my case, I selected just one size being available, but you might add multiple sizes there. And really the only option is to add to cart, which is exactly what you would want for a product like this. Versus, you have some of these other products which are designed, um, and this particular one here, I set up with the option to customize the design. So the user can click into it, load it into that designer. Maybe they want to change the size of the graphic. Maybe they want to personalize it by adding some text below that, whatever the case might be. Right. So those are the two cases there where you're now offering decorated items that can be personalized along with those as-is products. So the shoes is another option. Another one that we get frequently are like jewelry items. People want to kind of sell those side by side on some of their sites. So yeah, it's definitely doable. Again, it's just a matter of adding it as a custom product, making sure to assign a print location to it, set the decoration prices down to 0 so that won't be a factor in your pricing, and then you'll be able to add it through that decorative products page just like any other item. And then the key when you're doing that is, again, making sure to set the customize option to don't allow users to customize. All right, so hopefully that helps out, again, anyone who's wanting to list those as-is products or non-decorated products through their decorated products page. All right, so let's close off of that one. All right, so we're still waiting for some user questions. I guess I'll jump into next tip down. I have the line here. So this one here is going to be related to marketing, right? So we do get frequently asked, how do I set up coupon codes, or more specifically, we get the scenario raised to us. So, I have a company, they want to provide their employees with $50 worth of credit to shop through this company store that I've set up for them. Do I set that up as a coupon? Like, what's the best option? So for that type of case, we actually have an option called gift certificates, which is what you would most likely want to do, right? The gift certificate works by being a set amount of funds that's predefined and can be used up over time. So, again, that gift certificate might be $50. From one purchase, you might eat up $25 of that. And then a subsequent purchase, you might use up the remaining 25. Versus a coupon code is a set discount for either an amount or a percentage, and it could be reused over time for that same amount. So if you had a $50 coupon code, you would get $50 off that first purchase. On the subsequent purchase, if that coupon was still valid, you would get another 50% off. So for the scenario that we typically get raised, again, that question of I have a company that wants to provide their employees with certain funds to shop through the site, what's the best option? And the answer is gift certificates. So gift certificate you'll find by going into the marketing section of your system. From there, you'll see the option for gift certificates. It does have to be enabled, so it doesn't come enabled by default. I already have it enabled here in my system. But if you come in here with that option disabled, actually I don't. So let's run through that. So you get this message here, please enable gift certificates. So you have the option either enable it for all stores or let the store choose whether they want that on or off. It's up to you which one you want to choose. For my stores, I just want all of them to have the option of gift certificates. So I'll choose enable on all stores, hit save. All right, and now I have the ability to start adding gift certificates. So you can add these as one-offs. You can go, one at a time, click add gift certificates, specify a from name, a to name. You can choose the option to send that notification as an email about the gift certificate being generated. And you can set a value, a dollar value, as well as a period for that gift certificate to be valid. So a number of months, how many months do you want that gift certificate to be valid for? All right, so that's one option. The other option is to import the gift certificates. Again, this is the more likely option in that scenario where you have a company wanting to have a gift certificate for all of their employees, right? They might have 100, 200 employees, and that's just too much work to generate one at a time. So what you would do instead is use the CSV import option. This is a little bit simplified, so you're not going to get that to and from an email option. All you're going to get is the option to set the value of those imported gift certificates. So let's say $50, and set the time for that to be valid. So start date and end date. And then you're going to choose a CSV file to import as your codes. And as far as how to format that CSV file, it's super simple. It's going to be, let me just open up a spreadsheet here. It's going to be one column where each row is a gift certificate code. So let me just do an example here. You might have GFT0001, GFT002, and then you might just repeat that however many times you need gift certificates. Right, so one column with all of the gift certificate codes that you need. You'll save that off onto your desktop here. And make sure to select CSV file as the format. CSV MS-DOS, we'll go ahead and save that out. All right, now here in my file, I can choose that. Let's set some expiration dates here. Let's say these are valid till December 2018, the last day of December, so till the end of the year. All right, so we've chosen our CSV file, we've set our dates, we've set our value, we can go ahead and hit save. All right, and the system's going to go ahead and import those gift certificates. It's going to create a code for each row that you had in that spreadsheet. So as far as how to disperse out those codes, right, the system's not going to give you that option to send emails for those gift certificates that have been generated. Instead, since you're the one that generated those codes, you'll hand those out, whether it's the company that's going to hand them out individually to their employees, or whether they're going to that gift certificate maybe is their employee number and they do it that way. So that's up to you and the company as far as how you're going to distribute those gift certificate codes. But through the import, you'll be able to essentially assign a value to whatever code was in that spreadsheet. All right. And then as far as using those, so if we switch over to our website here, and let's take a look at Football Booster. And let's view the site. All right, so once your system has gift certificates present on it, and you add an item to the shopping cart, you'll see a field during that checkout screen to enter a gift certificate. So now that the site has gift certificates to accept, it's going to show the field, and you could go ahead and enter that in. Let me just copy one of the ones that I imported here. Oops. There it is. So let's apply that gift certificate code. And sure enough, it's showing gift certificate GFT 00026. It's reducing my value by $50. So it's lowering that total cost. And in this case, that employee would have to cover the remaining cost of their order. So there's still a 2134 outstanding balance, and they'll pay that through credit card during the checkout process. All right, so hopefully that tip helps out there. Again, good example for those scenarios where you have the company wanting to give their employees a certain value to shop through the company store. All right, so we're still waiting on some questions. Let's jump into a next tip here. So I'm going to jump over to settings. There are some sections here that customers don't necessarily understand right off the bat, and they're fairly simple. So let's just kind of try and clear up what these do and how they might help you out. So these are the ones under production and order settings. Specifically, there's two sections here. One we get a lot of questions on, um, and it's actually super simple, which is the Business Hub order display section. Um, we have customers asking, in Business Hub, some of my orders are colored red, green, orange, and I don't know what that means. What does that mean as far as how they're highlighted? And it has to do with this screen here and how it's been configured. So Business Hub order display determines or allows you to determine how to color or highlight an order in Business Hub based on how many days till its due date, right? So if it's due in more than 10 days, you still have some time. You might color that green. Due in less than 3 days, that's coming up pretty close. You might highlight that red, right, to let you know that's pretty urgent. So it's just a visual tool to help you know where your orders are at in terms of their production cycle. How far off till they need to be produced and shipped out to the customer. All right, so you can specify those colors that you want, and you can go ahead and hit save, and that's going to apply over to your Business Hub. I don't know that I have any test orders here, so let me just double check. If we click into Open Business Hub, we should see those colors on some of my orders, hopefully. So let's jump into the order section, and sure enough, I've got a lot of test orders here that were probably way past due. So everything's looking pretty red for me. Um, so yeah, it's a good tool for you to set up, some of those colors um, to give you insight as far as where your orders are at. All right, so that's one tool. The other one is the production order pending times. So this one often gets overlooked during the setup process, but it is an important one because this is going to determine the the due dates of your orders that are submitted through your web store, right? So if someone's shopping through your website, they've created a decorated item, or maybe they're shopping through one of your affiliate stores and picking from those pre-designed items. Um, the system is going to give them a due date based on what day they're ordering, your production days or your production time. How many days does it take you to produce an order? And which days of the week do you run production? So all of this is used to calculate that due date. And again, this oftentimes gets overlooked. So what you want to make sure to do is select which days of the week you run production. So that might be, Monday through Friday. You want to set your default production time for a typical order. So, that might be 14 days. And you want to set your production blockout dates. So if you have those holidays, we could come in here and add July 4th. So everyone's getting that one off. Might add Christmas in there. Right, so you can add your holidays, any vacations that you take during the year, add those in as blockout dates to make sure that when customers are placing orders, they're not getting a due date that's unrealistic in terms of you not being able to produce it because your production team isn't there. So this is really important one that often gets overlooked. So let's go ahead and save that change. All right, perfect. All right, so let's just keep looking through these quote and order and invoice settings. This one's not so critical. The only option that customers do inquire about is this one here, hide supplier costs in Business Hub. So inside of Business Hub, we do show the blank product cost when you're creating a quote or you're creating an order. And oftentimes we have questions from our users who don't want their salespeople to necessarily know the costs of those blanks. So I currently have it disabled here. You can see it's only showing the price, the final price of that item at $10. If I had this disabled, so if I was showing the cost, I would actually see three additional columns here, one for cost, one for markup, and one for profit. So that's the information that we do get inquired about and people wanting to not display that. And so it's as simple as coming into quote, order, and invoice settings and turning on hide supplier cost in Business Hub. This is also where you can set your invoice numbering. DecoNetwork automatically gives you a starting point when you sign up. If you do want to adjust that, let's say you want to start from, 10,000 and have it go incremental from there. It's up to you. You can also add a prefix and a suffix. So we do have customers, for example, I might do Chris's shirts, so CS 1000, and then web as my suffix to let me know those are my web orders versus my retail orders are a different invoicing number. All right, so you do have access to adjust that. And then down here, the last option at the bottom is for the default store when you're creating quotes and orders in Business Hub. So if you don't set this when you're creating an order in Business Hub, the default store would be your primary store. Whatever store you first set up with DecoNetwork. If you're on a multi-store plan like I am, you can actually come in and select one of your other stores to be that default store. So let's say you signed up with DecoNetwork. For whatever reason, that store that you first set up isn't really your big seller, right? Maybe one of your sub stores, your affiliate stores is really the big seller. So you want that to be the default store in Business Hub. So you could come in and say, I want my football booster store to be my default store and save that change. So now when I'm in Business Hub and I'm creating a quote, I don't have to go through and select football booster. It's automatically selected for me. I can always change it if I need to assign an order to another store or maybe to the main store. But this allows me to set which one is going to come in as the default. All right, last one here that I'm going to take a look at is customer order statuses. And this one allows you to change what the customer sees when their order is at a certain stage in the production process. So these are all of the internal statuses. These are statuses that you set through the Business Hub. For example, when you first take an order, it might be on hold. It's, let's say, awaiting payment. Then once it's paid, it's going to be awaiting a purchase order. Once the purchase order is created, it's awaiting stock, so on and so forth, right? So you have all these different stages. Well, you might not necessarily want the customer to know exactly what's going on with the order, or you want something more customer friendly or specific to your business, depending on which products you're selling. So for that reason, we'll allow you to override the customer facing status to that internal status. So when it's on hold, we normally show payment unconfirmed. You could change that. You could have it, say on hold if you want. Let's say when it's awaiting purchase order, you might want it to say in production already. You don't want the customer to know that you're waiting for your goods. You just want them to know it's in production already. And you might do that, all the way through all these kind of sub steps. You might do something like that. Awaiting shipping, you might actually change to awaiting shipping. Right, so essentially this just allows you to customize those to make sure what your customer sees is what you want them to see, not just the default text that we have in there. All right, so some good options here in customer order statuses. All right, so I think we have time for probably one more tip here. So I'll make it a bit of a long one so we can kind of use up what time that we have, and it should be a useful one. We do get a lot of questions about reports on the support side. People wanting a report with certain amount of information, and while we do have quite a bit of reports here in the report section of your admin section, there may be some data that isn't included in these reports. So the one report that's going to have really the most information that you can export from the system is a report called export orders. And this is essentially going to give you a CSV file, an Excel spreadsheet, which you could use then to generate, a number of different reports. So what I'm showing is really how to get data out of the system to then take that and generate additional reports from. So let's just go through some of the options here for exporting orders. So again, you're going to go to Reports, Export Orders. Let's go through the settings that are available for the export order option. So we're going to click Settings here on the top right corner. And there's a few settings here that we want to review. First one being at which stage do you want to start including orders in this report? So as soon as they're ordered, only until they're invoiced, or only until they're shipped. So ordered would be right away, right? You have that order, it's now in the report. Or you can limit that to only ones that haven't invoiced, or you could say, only give me what I've already shipped out. So by default, the system's going to come in and say it's going to include everything that is in order. The next options here allow you to determine what data to include in this report. So if you click Select Order Summary Columns, you get all of this data here that you can turn either on or off. So let's say I'm looking to generate a report to find out what my most popular payment option is. So you might include payment method as a column in this report. You might want to report based on how many of your orders are from tax exempt customers. So you might turn on the tax exempt column. Right, so there's a lot of information here that you can turn on or off. So let's just turn everything on here. You can also include your customer fields in this report. So in previous Q&A sessions, we've covered how to add additional customer fields, like maybe collecting a teacher's name or a room number or a corporate office number. So if you want that type of information included in this report, you can turn on that option down at the bottom, hit save, and that now has saved our changes for the summary version of that report. There's two versions of the export orders report. There's the summary, which includes one row per every order. And then there's the line item version, which includes one row per line item in every order. So an order might take up 10 rows. It might take up 20 rows, depending on how many line items were in that order. And it has its own configuration for columns, right? Each version of this report has different information that can be included in it. So we'll just come in here, we can turn on some of these. Because this is line item, there are a little bit more finer details that can be included, like the price of the product, the decoration process that's used on the product, so on and so forth. So this one can include a little bit more information, a little bit more specifics about each of the products, but again, it's a lot bigger report because it's including one row per every line item. So let's just turn on up to billing information, and then let's turn on the design information. So you can include design name, design price, and then a thumbnail image of the product itself. All right, so let's save that out. And then down here, you have some options which relate to the line item version of the report. So you have questions like, do you want to include the shipping fee as a separate row? Do you want to include rush order fees as a separate row, coupons as a separate row, and then the final total adjustment as a separate row? So let's just say we want all of those included. So let's save. Once you've configured your settings just how you want them, you can come back to this screen and choose the CSV option. On the top right corner, you'll choose Create Export. And you'll get this screen here with two options. Export new orders, which would export orders not exported since your last report that you ran. In this case, I don't think I've ever run a report on this site, so it would give me a report including all of my orders. And then the next time I do it, it'll be only the orders from today till whenever I run that next report. Or you can choose option 2, which is to export orders between a date range, which is the more common option that we see used. So here you can select, I know I want my report from the start of July till the start of August, right? July 1st to August 1st is when I want my report for. And then it gives you, again, that option to choose between the two different versions, order summary or order line item. Let's go ahead and choose order summary, hit save, and we'll see the system generate out that report for us. Okay, and so that's been downloaded onto my computer here. Let me open that up. All right, so I have just a few orders here on my test site, but you can see it includes all of that information that I checked on. So you'll be able to take this. You can filter out by this information. So, let's say you ran that report, but you only want orders from one of your stores. So you can use, for example, the site name column. You can use the filter option in your spreadsheet application and see, just the orders from that one store. And then you can, let's say, do a sum of the totals for the orders or whatever the case might be as far as what information you're looking for. But it's pretty good option to, again, get data out of the DecoNetwork system so that you can massage it, filter it, modify it, and generate that into other reports that you might need, whether that's for taxes, for sales, which products are selling, which designs are selling, things like that. All right, so I think we're just about out of time here. We'll go ahead and end the session. We'll see you guys back here next Wednesday, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern, for the next Q&A session. And if we do have any viewers who are not yet subscribers to DecoNetwork, do look into booking a tour. We do have our DecoNetwork client services team who books tours with you to guide you through the DecoNetwork system and show you what those benefits will be for you once you get signed up. All right, thanks for joining in and take care.